All right. Happy Saturday, hackers. My name is Taggart. Welcome to Saturday Hacker Day. On this channel, we're doing security, cybersecurity, we're doing computer programming, and we're doing some CTFs. And on Saturdays, we've been doing defensive blue team work. I'm really excited about what we have going on this week. It's going to be a learning experience for me. Hopefully, it is for you too. And before we get going, as usual, we have a little bit of This Week in Cyber. There were just a couple of news items this week. There was an Apple 0 day in iOS, so patch your Apple stuff. There was an open SSL vulnerability, so patch that. But nothing that really requires a whole lot of deep dive, just patch stuff, right? The same as usual. However, I took last week off, had a little bit of a break, and thank you for bearing with that. But in that time off, something pretty cool happened, and I wanted to call your attention to it. Leslie Carhart, one of my personal InfoSec heroes, put on PancakesCon. And this is the second year running that Leslie's done this. PancakesCon is a virtual conference, naturally, that started actually last year, soon after lockdown kicked in, for most of us, at least here in the United States, during the COVID pandemic. And knowing that we weren't going to be able to get to a lot of the InfoSec conferences that we were all looking forward to, right? DEF CON, Black Hat, DEF Hope, all of these that were scheduled for the year, and knowing that that was going to be a problem, Leslie actually took it upon herself to figure out how to do one of the first big virtual conferences. It was right on the heels of Wild West Hackin' Fest as well. So a lot of really great energy at the beginning of the pandemic. And it also was, as it turned out, the first conference where I gave a talk. You can find that video, and I'll send you there in a minute. But it was a talk on Jupyter. And the thing with PancakeCon that's really cool is that your talk is split half and half. So 20 minutes on a security topic, and then 20 minutes on a topic of your interest. So mine was on Jupyter for security folks, how to parse logs and things like that using Jupyter notebooks. And then the other 20 minutes was on elbow strikes because, I'm a passionate martial artist. So it was a really, really cool conference, and PancakesCon is now on YouTube. Leslie has uploaded all of the videos that there are good recordings of from both Conference 1 from last year and Conference 2, which just finished up last weekend, onto YouTube. So if you missed those, I really encourage you to go check those out. Check them out, and then for any of the presenters that you really, really like, go follow them on Twitter. Make sure you subscribe to their content as well. Really a lot of amazing people doing great stuff for the security community. All right. With that out of the way, we're going to get into our main topic for today, which is memory forensics. Now, I am by no stretch of the imagination an expert, or even really I would consider myself proficient with memory forensics. I'm definitely still learning. My day-to-day is not really about digital forensics and incident response, but it's an area of interest. Every once in a while, I have to do something in that field, and I want to get better at it. So hopefully this will be an exercise in learning for everybody here, and we're gonna dive in. Now, the tool of choice that we're going to use is volatility, but we're going to start from a position of kind of zero knowledge about memory forensics. So let's start with an idea of what memory forensics is. So let's say that you receive an alert that there is malicious activity, or there's definitely been an incident on a computer. It could be an employee doing something no good. It could be an external compromise, could be ransomware, whatever it is, and you have to get to the system. Now, there's going to be an incident response procedure that you're going to have to follow. Let me readjust my microphone location. There we go. That should sound a little bit better. There's going to be a procedure that you're going to have to follow, right? And you should follow that. PICER-L is the acronym that I usually think of: preparation, investigation, containment, eradication, lessons learned, right? So the containment, the investigation part is where really we're going to be focusing here. But I also think that it's worth, when you do the incident response, you have to capture a lot of evidence, right? Especially because it might have to go into court, depending on what you're doing. It might be used in a legal proceeding. So what you do and how you do it has to be very, very well defined, and there's not a lot of room for error. And you want to capture as much as you can. Now, when you think about a running computer, what do you want to capture? Well, obviously you want to capture a disk image, right? But that's the easiest of the things to capture, really, because when you turn the computer off to turn it back on, the stuff that's stored to disk is still, unless there's some malware doing something funny, still going to be there. But the memory, whatever was running in memory, is gone if you restart the machine. So the most volatile material is what's in memory, and that's what you want to capture right away. And to do that, you're going to use a tool that creates memory images, and we'll go through some of them. And in fact, we've used one of them already in this stream. FireEye's Redline, or Mandiant's Redline, I can't remember which one of those two did it, but the Redline tool actually creates memory images as part of its collection process. But there are other tools that you can use to create images as well. And we'll talk about those. Once you have the memory dump stored off of the machine that you're investigating, you have to investigate. You have to find out what's going on. And that's where Volatility comes in. There are other tools that you can use for this, but Volatility is free, and it's kind of the standard, especially for folks that are focusing on open source solutions. So we're going to use Volatility today, and we're going to start in a Try Hack Me room that is dedicated to teaching the basics of Volatility. So we're going to start there, and then hopefully, if we don't get too bogged down in that, move over into a Cyber Defenders challenge that uses Volatility to do another memory investigation. So let's get started. So if you want to follow along at home, which I highly encourage, let's get our music back. Yeah. So if you want to follow along at home, you want to install Volatility. Now, the great thing is that Volatility runs everywhere because it's Python based. So if you go to volatilityfoundation.org and you go to the releases page, you'll be able to find installers for Windows, Mac OS, Linux. I am going to be running this on my Windows machine, kind of, but in WSL. So I'm actually running the Linux version of Volatility. And I definitely just installed this. It's really, really easy to do. I just unzipped Volatility and then put it where I wanted in my path, and I was good to go. Volatility on Windows works great too. So doesn't matter your platform, you can go ahead and grab it. And if you want to compile it from source, of course it is open source. It's on GitHub, so you can do that. What's up, Chad? Good to see you. All right, so with Volatility installed, before we go any further, I did want to shout out, so we're not going to actually use this today, but I did want to shout it out. So if you're looking for a digital forensics or malware analysis virtual machine, there are a couple of tools that I want to call out. So on the Linux side, Remnux is a really, really powerful option. Now, I don't use it personally because I've thrown everything at my Kali machine, both defensive, investigative, and offensive. So like everything I have is in there. I've spent a lot of time configuring my Kali box to work the way that I want it. So I don't use Remnux. However, Remnux is a great solution especially if you need like a grab and go on a flash drive, right, to do an investigation. So what's cool here with Remnux is that it has everything out of the box that you're going to need to do malware analysis, but it also has a lot of instant response tools in it as well. Weirdly not Volatility, but you could easily throw that on there as well. So I highly recommend, if you want to get into this, and we'll do some more malware analysis, not today, but on other streams, check out Remnux. You can download it. It is an OVA, so you can import it into VirtualBox or VMware if you want. You can also convert it to Hyper-V, which I just did, so I know that it works. No problem. But I wanted to call out Remnux not only for its the distribution. It's a really, really nice toolkit, but the documentation is actually a really, really solid kind of walkthrough of what you might need to do in a given situation, right? So if you like examine static properties of suspicious file, statically analyze malicious code, right? All these things, it kind of walks you through what you're going to need to do it. So if you click on like reviewing a maldoc, check this out. It gives you the tool lists, right? Really, really solid documentation. I'm always a big fan of that. Okay, but we're gonna not focus on malware analysis so much today. We're gonna focus on memory forensics. So I'm in the volatility room for Try Hack Me, and the first thing it talks now, they provide a virtual machine that you can use for this that has volatility set up, but because this is going to be a little bit of a compute intensive process, I didn't want to wait for their CPU to do stuff, so I just downloaded volatility and got it going on my machine. And you don't have to even connect to the VPN for this particular challenge because you're doing offline memory forensics, right? But before we get to volatility itself, this room talks a little bit about what you use to get your memory images. And I think that's a really important point, because if you're encountering an incident where you have to create a memory image, that's the first thing you're going to want to have to do, and you want to have that ready to hand so that you can have it happen quickly. The kind of bog standard, and I don't mean that in an insultory way, is FTK Imager. Totally free, works great. Download it, run it, and then you've got yourself a memory image. I've used it myself, really, really easy, and produces exactly what we need. As I said, Mandiant Redline also has the ability to create a memory image in the run of its collector. Now, if you might have seen, we ran Redline on the investigating Windows Try Hack Me room. It takes a while. Now, memory, depending on how big your system is, how much memory it's using, the memory dump is going to take a while. So just be aware that it's not going to be always an immediate process. Digital forensics is a time-intensive process, and it's a labor-intensive process. It really, really is. And also, in most cases, a paper-intensive process, because you're going to have to be using chain of custody forms, things like that. You have to really follow procedure very, very exactly. And not for nothing, but also, it can't be one person doing it. Why not? I'll let chat answer why one person alone cannot do digital forensics. We also have dumpit.exe. I haven't personally used that one, but might be an option for you. And we'll also note that for Windows systems, right, the Hyper file is essentially an entire memory map that is left for systems that use hibernation. So you can pull this from a system if you've had a rebooted system. Chad, that's a really good answer. Too many disciplines involved. That's absolutely true. So from a practical standpoint, you're going to need probably more than one person to have the combined expertise to make your forensics work. The other reason is a legal reason. You want to have a witness for everything that you do. So you never want to have like one person doing everything. You want to have corroboration of what took place when. Yep. Because you never want to be... I've been, not for forensics, but for other stuff. I've been deposed. It sucks. But you always want to... You never want to be in a situation where it's like, can anyone verify that you did the thing that you said you did? You never want to answer no to that question. All right. So generally, when you create a memory dump, it's going to create a .raw, excuse me, a .raw file. And that's not true if you do image memory captures of virtual machines. right? You're going to get a vmem, a bin, a .mem, or a .save. And these you can do pretty easily doing the memory capture processes for these different tools. So the most common memory format is going to be .rom. But the Windows file system that we're looking to perform, the Windows system we're looking to, in this situation, the Windows system we're looking to perform memory forensics on was turned off by mistake. Let's go back up and read the premise here. Do we have a premise? Oh, no, we don't have a premise. All right, so we're just imagining that we're encountering a Windows machine that got rebooted. So the thing we're going after is the hyperfile.sys. What? What file contains a compressed? Is it not that? Oh, hyperfill.sys. Yeah, there we go. How about if we wanted to perform memory forensics on a VMware virtual-based machine? This is just reading comprehension. .bin. Also typing would help. Oh, .vmem. Right. All right. So the first thing you're going to want to do if you're following along is to download the files. It's a zip folder that contains the vmem image here. So we're actually going to be using a VMware grab, but it's the Cridex mem dump. And that's I wish they wouldn't name it like that because it is a bit of a hint of what you're looking at, right? Cridex being a kind of malware. Okay, so the first command that it tells us to run is volatility with -f and the memory file itself. Now, I'm going to run volatility with help because I want us to see everything that it can do. And the way that it runs is really, it's plugin oriented. So you run volatility against a file, and then you give it the specific architecture of the image, and then you have different plugins that you can run on it. And that's this giant list that you're seeing here. But but the basic operation, right, is -f for the file name that you want to work off of, the profile, the architecture that you're working with, right? Or the platform, really, not the architecture. The architecture is involved, but also the operating system and the version. And then if you want to have an output file, right, verbosity, things like that, and then the plugins, which you just run, it's a positional argument for the command. Go up a little bit more here. Oh, it just says usage, but it doesn't tell you that it's positional, but it is. And the plugins are here. And getting familiar with this plugin list is a lot of what using volatility is about. Now, the first one that we're going to need to use, and this is kind of true no matter what, is image info, right? Because this is going to tell us the profile to use for later runs of volatility on other plugins. If we don't get that right, our results are going to be really, really off or just unavailable. So the first thing we want to do is image info. Volatility -f cridex.vmem, and we're going to run image info. While this is running, I feel like there's another forensics distribution. I feel like there's another one that I'm forgetting. What do you got for me, TechRater? This is not... Is it Backbox? No. Black Arch? Okay. Apparently not. There is another... There's a Windows-based tool. Oh, is it Sift? I think it might be Sift. Yeah, this is it, from Sans. This one, the problem is this ancient... Look at that, Ubuntu 16.04. I gotta tell you that for my own money, you can get all of these tools going on Kali, and Kali Large has a lot of these tools kind of baked into it already anyway. So that would be kind of where I go for forensics. Now, malware analysis may be a little bit different. We'll talk about malware analysis on another stream. I'm really looking forward to it, but I still have some more to learn before I feel comfortable sharing that on the stream. Let's see if our profile ran. Awesome. So this gives us a bunch of suggested profiles here. Windows XP. I wonder when we will stop using Windows XP in training materials. It's extraordinarily end of life. I know that it's easy to get at, but it's now getting to the point where I think it's doing more of a disservice to learners than it is a help. Because what you're going to find in Windows XP is nothing like what you're going to find in real life anymore. Not nothing like, but it's almost too easy. You know, similarly, like if you're doing offensive work and you come against, in training, you're going up against a Windows XP box, like, that's not realistic. You should learn it, but you shouldn't focus on it that much, because unless you're in a pretty unique situation, you're not going to find a bunch of XP. Industrial control, definitely. I have to admit, healthcare, we do have some, but... Alright, now that we have a profile, we can run other plugins. So, let's see what the profile is. That was correct. Take a look through the processes within our image. That's the next ask. So if we go and look at the plugins that we have, one of them is going to be for PS List and one for PS Tree. We'll start with PS List just to see how it goes, and then we'll move on to PS Tree and then PSX View to find hidden processes. So here we do profile, and we're going to just give it the profile that we used here, and then we're going to do PS List. All right, pretty short process list. It's almost never going to be that short, but we do have a few things here. What is the process ID for smss.exe? Our PID is 368. Do I not have numlock on? I'll never give up my numpad. I love my numpad. I know that it's not super popular to say that, but I like my 10-key keyboard. By the way, if you ever encounter something like this and you find a Windows process and you don't know what it is, look it up. SMSS is the Session Manager subsystem. Okay, so it works together with LSASS. Right, does local security authentication. SMSS manages the sessions. It is fairly common for malware to attempt to hide itself in the process associated with it. That being said, we can view intentionally hidden processes via the command PSX view, which we already said we were going to do. So let's do it. Expand that window a little bit more. So the reason it was taking so long, if you look here what it's doing, it's reading straight through the memory, and it's looking for indicators of process, the beginnings of process images, okay, in the memory, which is why it was taking so long to find that. And that's what you're looking at with this offset. It's saying this is where in the memory space of the memory dump, the process actually begins. So what did we miss? So we saw alga.exe, we saw winlogon, we saw SMSS. There's this system which is pretty funky, right? But what we are looking for is what process has only one false listed? This CSRSS right here has only one false. And again, I'm not totally sure what that is, so I'm going to look it up. It's the client-server runtime process. Oh, it's the right. It's the broker between user mode and kernel mode. In addition to viewing hidden processes by PSX view, we can also check this with greater focus by the command LDR modules. I want more information about these. So I am going to see if I can find better documentation. Let's see if there's documentation available straight from the Volatility Foundation. No. Okay, on the wiki there is. Here we go. LDR modules. There are many ways to hide a DLL. One of the ways involves unlinking the DLL from one or all of the linked lists. Okay, got it. There's still information contained in the virtual address descriptor, which describes the base address of the VLL and its full path on disk. Okay. It's one thing to run a command, it's another to understand exactly what information you're getting back and what value it is. Right? You can follow a procedure, but if you don't understand exactly what it's showing you, that's not great. So in load, right? In init, in mem. So if we're seeing falses in both of these, that might be suspicious, I believe is the situation. Is there anything that has falses? There's an LSAS that has a false. There's a services that has a false. winlogon. But this CSRSS has 3 falses, and the mapped path is Windows fonts VGA sys.fon. Turns out it was the same process. We also want to look for API hooks to see if there are weird DLLs getting loaded. If we see an instance where hooking module unknown that's really bad. All right. We're still. All right. Let's run API hooks. Now, I'm a Linux guy by training, experience. So a lot of these Windows internals I've been trying to study up on and learn as best I can. And honestly, the best resource remains the Windows internals textbook. Which is available for sale kind of, well, it's on Amazon. It's available kind of all over the place. It's in 2 volumes. It's a textbook, so it's you know, textbook priced, and it's gigantic. But if you are interested in learning exactly how Windows works, there is no better resource. And it's so much. It's so much. But once you take the time and plod through it, you will have a pretty solid understanding of what's going on a Windows system, which my personal philosophy with technology is you can operate just fine without knowing a lot of the low-level operations. Hey Koga, I have no idea how to pronounce that, I'm sorry, but thank you so much for the follow. If you don't understand the low-level material or the procedures, you can get away with it until you can't, until something weird happens and it doesn't seem to make sense. And usually I've found that when something doesn't make sense, like, this shouldn't be happening, why is it happening? Whenever I have that instinct, it's because I'm missing a deeper understanding. And in a technical sense, it's usually because there's some part of a lower lying process or architecture that I don't yet understand. That's why, you know, I found it worthwhile to go and learn assembly so that I could understand what was going on when a program was running, what was happening in the CPU. And similarly, understanding the internals of Windows really helps me kind of understand, first of all, how attackers are going to do what they do. And then as a defender, what I need to be watching for. What is weird, what isn't weird. There's so much going on a Windows operating system at any given time, and it's really hard to keep track of what is supposed to be normal. So building up that knowledge really gives you an edge as a defender. Still running. Maybe we'll stop this and run and come back to it later. Let's see if we can run some of these other ones. So injected code can be a huge issue and highly indicative of very bad things. Injected code meaning DLL injection. So we're going to do malfind. And then we can do, with a D, a destination directory. We'll send it to... We'll send it to that folder. Speaking of assembly, so we're looking for suspicious stuff. Oh my god. Windows Defender just alerted on this material. That's very funny. That's what I get for not running this in a total VM. Good job, Defender. Yeah, we'll knock those out. So, we found some evil. quite a bit of it. I'm trying to look through this to see if there's anything that I can identify as looking funny. This looks pretty... Log on. Okay, here we go. So here's Explorer. MZ means that this is the signature for a Windows executable. Reader SL. And we're looking for injected code. So anything that looked strange. How many files does this generate? Well, let's see. Uh, 13, because we had 2 get removed, right? No? I wonder how many more got removed. I suggest opening the temp directory. Well... Is it... Oh, is it 10? Weird. You know what I'm embarrassingly forgetting is how to count files with ls. Oh shit! Oh, I was doing it right. But also we just like manually count 4. Yeah. Okay, it was 12 because I can't add. Okay. Now that we've seen all the DLLs running in memory, let's do a step forward and pull them out. Do this with the command volatility DLL dump. And same thing, where the PID is the process ID of the infected process we identified earlier. Questions 5 and 6. You know, try hack me. If any of you are watching, I've seen the Guar deal with this too. If you're going to reference question numbers, number your questions. It's such a minor UI thing, but like, come on. Now this again is where CSRSS, or sorry, where TMUX really comes in handy, where I can scroll back up. Now, in an actual investigation, you would want to be capturing all of this. So like literally every command that I run, an extra thing that I would be doing is I'd be piping it to T and then sending it to like my log file. Because I want to capture every single thing that I do, right? Everything has to be documented. And timestamped, by the way. You want a whole running log of everything you do during an investigation. There can be no questions about what happened when. So I'm looking for that csrss.exe that looked really weird. This one right here. Okay, so it's PID 584. So what we're going to do, excuse me, is we're going to run... Oh, we can run DLL list, so let's just do that. That's very long. That's so many. But this can be helpful too. You know, if you see in this DLL list, you could do something like you could bret that to see anything that doesn't have C windows, for example, and see anything that was loaded from a weird path. Or not, because I guess that doesn't send it to standard out. Now, can I run help on... Yes. So the DLL list, if you run help with the module, it'll tell you what you can do with it, but it doesn't actually do anything. If I send this to a DLL list, does that work? Yes, that does. Then, now that I have that DLL list output, I can grep for anything that isn't C Windows. Oh, wait a second. Is it because I needed to escape the backslash? Yeah, it is. I'm just very dumb. C Windows, DLL list. There we go. Why is this not... grep V should invert the solution, right? Let me just take out anything that has windows in it. Yeah, that did it. Oh, and I should also do hasten sensitive. So that really cuts this down, right? You can see we've got Adobe Reader. And like the exes, but not any other strange DLLs. That can be helpful. Thanks. Yep, Perturbator. Pretty awesome. Okay. 584 was the CRSS PID, right? I think so. I have so much output now. Oh Lord. Okay, now we're in the mouth bind. 584. Yep. Okay. So now we're gonna run volatility with the DLL dump. And again, we're gonna do the DLL dump file here. And DLL dump. Season, did you used to do digital forensics? We also have to give it a PID, right? Yep. Painful weekends during CTFs. Yes. I feel you. One of those looks weird to me. But that might be just because I don't know what it is. Yep, see, it's a thing. You always want to make sure that you're not Now, we don't know that it was loaded from the right place. It could have been... Okay, that found 12 vials. Okay. Now that we've performed some basic forensics, let's go a step further and see what the community at large has to say about the items we've discovered. So we can go to Virus Total, which is one of my first stops always, and we can upload the extracted files to Virus Total. Now, we kind of already know that because Defender already alerted us on this, we kind of already know that this thing is Krydex. But uploading stuff to Virus Total is a really good move if your sample for sure does not have sensitive information in it. I just want to call that out. If your organization, deals with sensitive information, I work in healthcare, so we always have to be worried about PHI. And if your sample may have that in there, do not, unless you strip it, upload it to Virus Total. Use some other service. I think you can get a private account with Joe Sandbox or Hybrid Analysis. Those would be better options. All right, extra credit. Here's a slew of awesome resources, both paid and free. Alien Vault, Open Thread Exchange, very cool. There's a great book for the art of memory forensics. And we've done this room. So, good start on memory forensics, but we're by no means finished. All right, let's clean up a little bit here. All right, I'm trying to think how I want to organize this. Okay, and then we'll do Cyber Defenders. Alrighty. Now, done with Try Hack Me for the minute. Cyber Defenders is where I wanted to go next. And Cyber Defenders has some really good memory challenges. So, let's go find one. Banking troubles, memory image forensics. Perfect. Although... Oh yeah, they have all of the flare challenges on here, which I'll eventually go after. My Windows reversing is basically non-existent at the moment. Nice. Congratulations. I think I want to do this in a VM, because for sure this thing is going to extract malware. So let's do that. Let me fire up the good old Kali. And get that going. Yeah, the Cyber Defenders challenges are pretty nice. It's gotten better, and they've added a bunch more recently. This is a fun one, by the way, the XLM macros. I actually just used these during an offensive engagement. Worked great. There we are. I did all this extra configuration on my Kali machine to get it to integrate with Hyper-V so I could get copy-paste and, you know, full resolution and everything going. It always looks weird when I start it because it's using... I forget what it's using. Some implementation of RDP rather than a direct connection from the hypervisor. Yes, but it's enhanced session, but the way you get enhanced session going is weird. Let me... Like, if you Google Kali Linux enhanced session, I think you find it. Yeah. I've also copied this just to use myself, but like, oh, XRDP is what you use. You have to execute all of this stuff and configure your Kali box to use this. Yeah, so I was like, I wanted to use Hyper-V because obviously I get better performance. I also wanted to learn Hyper-V. And I was using VirtualBox prior to that, and it was working okay, but I knew my cursor was laggy, and I knew I was working through this extra layer of abstraction that I didn't want to have to deal with for performance purposes. So this actually works great. You know, VirtualBox is fine for what it is. That's kind of my take. It's good enough for most work use cases. Yeah, VMware works great, but it's not free. My personal approach is like, whenever I can get away with using the open source solution, I'm going to use it. In this case, I just couldn't. And I was like, okay, well, if I'm going to have to use a proprietary solution, do I want the one that's baked into the OS, or do I want to, you know, pay VMware? Let's see, tmux. Restore my sessions. And let's get Brave going here and get back into Cyber Defenders. Obviously, I'd already thought about using the Kali box today. Let's let me make a new tmux window here. I can zoom this in so it's easier for everybody to read. I think I'm going to have to install Volatility on here too. Yup. Now, is it available in the repo? It is not. That is dumb. But it's fine. Linux standalone. And let me just go grab that, CD downloads, unzip, volatility, sudo cp. This isn't probably the cleanest thing, but it's fine. Just get it in my path there. Okay. And let's get signed into Cyber Defenders. Oh, Brave. I like Brave, but sometimes it is weird. It is weird in its obsession with cryptocurrency. They're making a search engine, apparently. Banking troubles is what this is called, so I'll make a new folder called banking. I'll tell you what, though, it is far and away the best browser I've found for doing what I do. It has a slightly higher memory footprint, but it makes less phones home than does Firefox, even, or certainly than Chrome. And so I get the Chrome dev tools. I have less noise, and it's pretty configurable, and it works with Chrome extensions. I tried, like, I want to say like a year and a half ago, I tried to convert my whole life to using Firefox after I was like fed up with Chrome. And it's just like, I couldn't do it. I tried really hard to get everything that I wanted, all my workflows to run through Firefox. And it was just like, not possible. Which I both hate. Yeah, I mean, I could have some hot takes on the Mozilla Foundation and how they've kind of screwed up. They've focused on everything but the browser, it feels like. I'm really glad that Rust got spun off into its own foundation, because Rust is important. But Mozilla, I think, is best focused on the web and web standards. Hey, Tiny Witch. It's also a lot less secure. I don't know. I mean, we just had like 3 weeks straight of Chrome 0 days. Thank you. Okay. Is there any particular reason why it's... Oh, is there any particular reason why it's easier to exploit? Just poor programming practice or what? It's taking forever to download in the VM. Let's see if I can get it better. I can download it here and then just copy it over. Okay. My guess is the bounties are probably not as good either, in that it's a non-profit foundation. Okay, so we've got ourselves bob.vmem. Yeah. I mean, this is the thing that open source runs into, right? Where we want to believe that everybody is contributing a little bit out of the goodness of their heart, but the truth is, like, even if people have the best of intentions, people are busy and they like have mortgages and rents to pay. It's rough. Wow, jumping right in. What was the local IP address for the victim's machine? What was OS variable value? Was the administrator's password? Okay, so we have some work to do here, but we'll get started with the basics. Whoa. Why is that not in my path? Oh, that would be why. There we go. Volatility-f bob.vmem image info. Let's find out what this thing is about. We just had 2 OpenSSL bugs this week, speaking of open source vulnerabilities. Oh good, another Windows XP machine. It's because they're tiny. Let me bring up the volatility help over here, so we have a list of plugins that we can run. Ooh. Interesting. You know what's funny? I'm not familiar with DNS rebinding, but I was thinking about playing with something like this, or trying to, in a recent engagement. I had essentially this exact problem. Custom user agents, DNS rebinding, cross-arch request. Very cool. Dang. Nice work. That's really neat. Thank you for sharing that. Okay. So, it's asking let's go for connections. Let's try that. Okay. What was the local IP address for the victim's machine? Plainly, 192.168.0.76 was the local address. So at least we're off to the races. What was the OS variable name? Try to analyze the image with... Yeah. Thanks for hanging out, Tiny Witch. Have a good day. What was the OS variable value? Do they mean the build info? Let's just run the Windows plugin. Just give us anything. These are the windows that were... I see. These are the windows, like the literal windows that were open. That's very funny. That's cool, though. So it tells you that Firefox was open. Wow, that's a cool plugin. But not what we're actually going to want for this. What happens if I run ball shell? Will this actually work? Oh, I see. So it's a Python shell, kind of. Right, obviously, because it was written in Python. Interesting. Can I quit? Huh, how do I get out of this? There we go. Enough Control-C's will kill anything. Alright, well, since I don't know exactly how to do this, it's time to use the old Goog. Let's see if we do like a volatility. Oh, because yeah, Sans has a really nice cheat sheet, I think. But let's see. I want more than the. I want more than. The image info. I think. We'll try nvars, I guess. Is that not a thing? Oh, yep. There it is, the OS variable. That's what they were looking for. Windows NT. What was the administrator's password? Can we do an LSA dump? Can we get that lucky? We're gonna try. That doesn't seem suspicious at all. I should mention, we kind of glossed over the premise for this. Company X has contacted you to perform basic forensics work on a recent incident that occurred. One of their employees has received an email from a coworker that pointed to a PDF file. Upon opening, the employee did not notice anything. However, they recently had unusual activity in their bank account. The initial theory is that a user received an email containing a URL leading to a forged PDF document. Opening that document in an Acrobat Reader triggers a malicious JavaScript file that initiates a series of actions to take over the blah, 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 blah. So, that's the situation, which means we have some targeting for what we might want to be looking for. But the question here is, what was the administrator's password? Let's try a hash dump. Okay. Neat. From there, I'm gonna take these. And throw those into a text file. And then we'll just fire John off at that. Do I have this? I always forget where I had it. Nope. User share wordless. Yeah, text. Great. Thanks so much for that. So we got ourselves the administrator password off that. What process was most likely responsible for the initial exploit? Well, we don't know yet. But let's go take a look at something else in Volatility. Now, I want to use PS tree, because I want to see the parent-child processes. This was not as clear as I had hoped it would be. MSI exec, meaning there was an installer running. Okay. Now let's look for let's use that PSX, PSX view to see if we can find some sneaky stuff. Hello. Okay, we've got MSI exec with 3 falses here. But no, apparently not. So let's see. Thank you. Try to collect multiple data and link them together. Okay, so MSI exec.exe looks a little bit weird. But is there anything on here that's not getting listed by PS list? No. Okay. Well, we know that. All right, we're going to do Timeliner. I want to see what that looks like. Because the timeline is, you know, when I'm working in Redline, there's something else like that. When I'm doing a disk image capture, that's really, really valuable to me. So I want to see what the Timeliner gives to me. Oh my. Okay, so I'm going to key that into the... Actually, I'm just going to straight up output it into the timeline. Let that do its thing. And then let's see if we have some other tools that might help here. Go check out that spreadsheet, that cheat sheet again. Right, if we're looking for process information. Do command line arguments, that's obviously a good one to do. DLL lists as well. PS scan, hidden or terminated processes. Should have done that one as well. One thing I keep forgetting to do is install PV. I think that's what it is, right? Yeah. So PV's neat. What it does is it allows you to, for any tools that don't have their own progress indicator, you can pipe things through PV and give it some idea of how long it's going to take. Now, it doesn't always work, depending on what you're doing. But you can watch things take place. So let me see if I can install it. For the next one, we'll try to pipe that through PV and see if we can get any results. But now that we have the timeliner, I also want to do the command line, actually. Let's see. If I pipe it through PV and I get the progress bar on, does that work? Not really. I get the progress bar at the very end. Now, let's see what we have on our command line. Anything interesting? Firefox. There's Acrobat Reader, which we know did something evil. JavaScript is interesting. So if it loads a JavaScript file, I know that I'd probably be looking for something like WScript, which I don't see. Now, I wonder if it's talking about acro read 32.exe as the answer to that question, just because... Yeah, it was. Just because of the premise of the case. What is the extension of the malicious file retrieved from the process responsible for the... Wouldn't it be a PDF? Yeah. Okay, well, let's go find the file. Now let's look at our timeliner. Yeah, let's go look at our timeline here and see what we see. Is this ascending or descending? Descending. Acro RD. Look for acro. I'm going to look for, since we heard about a suspicious JavaScript file, let's look for that JS. Okay, what's the first instance of acro read? Here. Okay. The very bottom here. Okay, this is starting to look weird. So we have, in our timeline, we have acro read fires up, and then it's loading weblink.api, it's loading all this stuff. Now, I don't know for sure that this is weird. This could be the way that Acrobat Reader just runs, because I've never looked at a DLL load tree for Acrobat Reader. So I don't know for sure that this is odd. Now, are these all... This is a very long timeline. We don't have enough information to make best use of this yet, I don't think. I don't think we'll find PDF in here. Okay, just kidding, we will, but it's the DLL used by Firefox to read PDFs. That still may be useful. But we don't know yet. Let's go get our connections again. I'm gonna save those out because I want the PID here. So let's see. We've got connections out. We're gonna ignore the connections to 192.168. We've got these two here. Now, interestingly, okay. And we're gonna do We're going to do a PS list to save those as well. Okay, now let's cat connections. And then let's get cat PS list. Let's grep for 8888 or 888. Okay. Okay. So Acro read in Firefox, that's interesting. Okay, so Firefox, if I'm reading this right, Firefox was the parent, and then that kicked off Acro read. So, and I don't know this for sure, actually. Season, if you know, does the PDF reader in Firefox use Adobe Acrobat by default, or does it have its own thing? It looks like we have Acrobat Reader as the child process of Firefox. So, Seven 1752 opened up to this. And let's now look for 1752 in our PS list. Just that. Interesting. This is the same IP address. Now, what is 880? Service host, not helpful. We have these 66s, though. And, by the way, suspicious. How do we know? One way we can know is by checking it out in VirusTotal. So, no. That's not suspicious. What about this 212? Okay, that's slightly more suspicious. According to Force Point and nothing else. But at least it's registered. Okay, it's registered in Amsterdam. Through Aaron, okay. It's not a Google endpoint, which okay. And what else is weird? This 193 from port 880. Nothing. So far, 2 detected files communicating with us. That's interesting. It was in Iran. Interesting. I think we're on the right path here, even though we don't get any detections. Did we do this 212? I thought we did. I think that's weird. And then the other one is this 193. Okay, neat. Now, 888 also opened this to the 66, but that was a Microsoft endpoint, so we don't care about that. A suspicious URL was present in the service host memory. Really? All right, how do we get that? Try service scan. Okay. Well, that didn't really help. Wonder how you do this one. Check if the URL is in process memory. We do PS scan. What do we get? Oh, is it proc dump? Okay. So it's proc dump. But I don't want the executable. I just want the memory of... mem dump. Okay, so if we do... It should be for a specific hit, right? Yeah. Which would be 888. No? Oh, I gotta get rid of help. Okay. Can I just run strings on it? Yeah. Looks like we got some HTML here. Some news articles. Oh, hello. I wonder if there's an easier way to do this. What would we search for? This is a Yara scan. Not... Okay, this is a little bit deeper than I wanted to go here. Will IE history do it? I thought that... Is that just for... Will that show it to us? Worth a try. Oh no, sorry, this is wrong. This suspicious URL is present in the process service host memory. Provide the full URL that points to a PHP page. So we dumped the wrong thing. That's fine. If we... Connections, we know that 880 was a service host, right? So if that one's making network connections, that would be the one we'd want to dump. So let's dump that with our mem dump, and we're gonna dump 880. Okay. And dump 80, and we're gonna grep for PHP, right? Okay. Well, that looks evil. Plus, we had that IP already. Extract files from the initial process. Okay. The initial process being Firefox or being Acrobat Reader? I'm going to go with Acrobat Reader. 888 seems like really where the evil started. So we're going to try that. Let's do a file dump. We'll do file dump, process ID of 888, and destination of file dump. Let's see what we get. Okay. No such I can't do it by PAD? Apparently not. Oh, I see. The problem was I got the plugin name wrong. Dump files. There we go. So seen a lot of DLLs. But I don't think that's as helpful. Let's try from 1752. PDF.php. And then look at this evil freaking PDF. What is this? And then okay, right, okay. So I've got all these image and dat things, but is that really what I want? All right, Whiteheart, what you got for me? File scan. Okay, there's that evil PDF. Oh, cool. Okay, so once we have we can dump the file. So we want this offset. And then we'll call it evil.pdf. Physical offset. That's a Q. Interesting. That didn't seem to work. Let's try with the -O offset, because it's a... Oh, it is a PDF. Which we're not going to open yet. Let's get the MD5 sum of it. Well, that's not at all what we got. Are these images actual things? They are. Can't believe we're gonna do this. Okay. 5cc. I don't think so. Yeah, I don't think we found it. What was the hit of the process that loaded the file pdf.php? We knew that, right? 1752, which was Acrobat Reader. What else did we do? We're gonna look for PHP this time. Probably a good idea if I'm in the right file or folder. That's what we want. Which we had found before. Okay, but that's what we want to extract here. We'll use that offset to go get it. Okay. What's the newest thing I have in here? Did it not dump anything? Let's try that Q offset. Yeah, see, that did something. Okay. It is the physical offset that we want. Okay. Try that again. Okay, so let's do an MD5 sum. It's actually, let's cat file dump. Notice that fish is making it so I don't have to type out that whole thing. Well, that's a whole... Yeah, that's not a thing. Yeah, neither of those are things. We haven't really found it yet. I have this file. We can do better than this, I think. What are we doing here? I don't really want to take 50 points off. Just because I can't get this thing out. Oops. File scan. So I'm gonna clear out everything I have in because there's nothing useful in there. But we need to go back and Let's do verbose. Or actually, it gives us headers, which is what I wanted. I want to know what that header actually is. It's the physical offset. Okay, it is. So we tried to do the dump file, and that really should have worked. Both data, so it's not actually a PHP file. Neither of them have the right hash for what we're looking for either. Yeah, this is just file stream stuff. This is really there's JavaScript in here. For some reason. We have to be able to get this out. Extract files from the initial process. Maybe we aren't doing this right. If we did a dump file but we didn't do one with a process ID of the Acrobat Reader, right? Or we did, but no, we did do this, but maybe we missed something in there. Okay. We have a bunch of stuff now. What's this? This actually is a thing. No, it's not. Let's look at what all of these are. hey, we have 2 PDF documents. But I don't think we're getting anywhere here. All right, I'm gonna burn 50 points on a hint. What? Hold on a second. Did I ask for the right thing? Use volatility, dump process memory. Okay. Rock dump. The P is going to be 1752, and the destination is going to be rock dump. Okay. Okay, but that just No, it's the mem dump. We already did it, right? Oops. Right, okay, now... So we found this thing, right? This pdf.php. But then what? That's the part that I'm really confused on. And I'm going to burn 50 points to find out. That sucks. I shouldn't have been... I just burned that whole question on stuff I already knew. Those hints sucked. I don't usually get too angry at that, but that's cheap. Because the mem dump only has the memory. It doesn't have the hash of it, right? Okay, let's see if this helps us out. Let's dump files, which is what we did. Is there something I'm not getting about? Is the N option? Don't think so. Oh, include extract a file name. Actually, that would help. Files. Yeah, I don't think so on this one. So I think since it's after noon here, we're going to call it for today. But it's a pretty good introduction to volatility. Obviously, I'm going to keep working on this, see what I can learn. A few more questions to answer, but once we crack this, the rest of it we'll go through. So thanks everybody for hanging out. I will be back on Tuesday doing some offensive work, and next Wednesday, I actually have a fun project planned for Wednesday where we're going to build a tiny little Node.js application from scratch. So if you're interested in getting started with Node, or just seeing how application development goes in that universe, you might want to check that out. So until next time, happy hacking everybody, and be good to yourselves, be good to each other. Take care. And let's see if we can send you someplace cool. So, all right, I'm going to send you someplace. This is not where I would normally send you. Thugcrad's doing a stream, but my friend Trevor is doing, also known as Hegelbon on Twitter, is doing a stream for supporting the Philly Bail Fund. And they're playing, I think, they were playing some Final Fantasy earlier, but I don't know what they're doing right now. But let's go check them out and see if we can give them a hand.